Well, hello again. Today is a little bit more progress in digging out the house site. We've gotten pretty much the length of the house at this point, so it's on to start working on trying to get the width a little bit better. That's kind of been the challenge this whole time. Hopefully, on a side note, hopefully everybody was able to, if they wanted to, go out and see some of the northern lights last night. That was the first time I've ever been able to do so. So that was actually pretty cool. They weren't as vibrant as I would have hoped. It was a pretty significant storm last night, but it wasn't as long of a duration as the one in May. But we found a spot. We went out to a mineral lake about 40 or so minutes away from us, and spent a couple hours staring at the sky out in the cold. It was a fun experience. It was worth it. I haven't gone through the photos yet and to see how good they were, but it was pretty fun. We got learned some interesting differences between the different cell phone types and the different and the camera, the actual Canon camera. So yeah, that was good, but yeah, as you can see, I talk to other people who have issues with rocks on their land, and I often get comments about being surprised at not being able to find rocks, but as you can see here, there just really aren't very many rocks here. I've got a pile over there at the entrance that is where I've been collecting all of them as I find them in this particular area, because they will all get used to build a retaining wall on that north side. It's actually interesting as I'm looking at this particular footage. As I'm working this area, it doesn't feel like I've been digging downhill. But for the most part, there's a little bit of a high spot, pretty much right where the front tires of the tractor are. The crazy thing is that spot is higher than the end of the where it drops off to the ramp actually coming up by about 6 inches, and then it's higher than where the camera is sitting by about 1.5 feet. But as I've been working this area, I thought I was working reasonably level, but when you're on the hill and digging into the hill, and it's just hard to tell. So the lesson learned is that I definitely need to start with the laser level, so that I'm just working where I need to be. That would probably have saved quite a few hours of moving the dirt around. But that's okay. It is what it is. So there's nothing like when you're trying to record something and you're watching the footage of what you're doing a voiceover for, and you pause the recording because you get distracted by a cat or a dog or stranger or whatever. And then you go back and hit play on the video and forget to hit record on the recording program, so you end up with 24 minutes of what you thought was recorded audio, and there's really only 2 minutes and 30 seconds of it. So I get to re-record it, and I have no idea what I actually was talking about back then, because, you know, I actually don't do this with a script. I don't know if you noticed that, but I just kind of wing it. Yeah, it's tonight actually was, I ended up getting out a little bit late, and, you know, being that it's the middle of autumn, nearing winter, we lose light more and more, and I ended up, I figured I'd probably end up needing to utilize my work lights, which I think I've had them for 2 years, and we basically use them as bright flashlights and floodlights for, like, when we're playing games out in the pavilion area. I don't think I've actually used them as work lights, although I do have, I got some short bungee cords to specifically wrap them to the rollover system on the tractor, but I just never, I don't work in the dark that much, because during the winter when it is dark while I would be working, I just don't have the ability to do much because it's too wet and muddy and soggy. But I did use them tonight, and we'll see when I get to that footage. We'll see how good the footage actually turned out. I got about half of my work done with daylight, and then half of it or so after it got dark. So I can tell you that it is difficult to gauge your distances and your level. So actually, I wasn't trying at all tonight to work on that, like to level once the sun went down. I worked really hard to make sure the spots where I was working were as close to level as I could, and then I drove around and kind of packed that down as much as I could with the tractor's weight, and then I just moved dirt around, knowing that it wasn't going to be smooth. But I mean, or level at least. I did a pretty good job of getting it reasonably smooth, but I guess we'll find out tomorrow when I go out there. After Emily gets home from work tomorrow, we'll go up and she'll do the hard job of judging depth with the laser as I try and drive around, and then we'll see how good I got, how smooth I got things, and how level I got things. But now that I've gotten a pass down this row kind of thing, it's time to come back and gather up all the rocks, and you can see there's not many. There's literally just one bucket full, which is like, 500 pounds of rock. So I mean, that's a good amount of rock, but for digging out a 70-foot long, 10-foot wide section of hill, I guess maybe not 10 feet. That's probably digging actually closer to, like, I don't know, 6 feet wide. Well, no, because the tractor bucket's 6 feet, and that's a pretty good pile there. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, it really doesn't. There's just not much rock out here. It always surprises me when I find one. So this is the challenge of digging out a hillside. You're just taking from the high and dumping in the low. This part's kind of fun because it like feels like I'm making a lot of progress. It's very visible what that progress is, but at the same time it really doesn't, make too much effort. I did keep working for just a little bit longer after I figured it was too dark for the camera. I wasn't sure if the tractor's headlight would help or not. It does a good job of highlighting the fact that it's raining at this point. It rained somewhat heavily for just a little bit, but for the most part it was just kind of a typical Washington rain. I really don't even notice most of the time when it starts to rain because I just don't get very wet in the rain out here. But it actually was raining decently, so Emily was kind enough to make sure I had a hot shower ready and some hot chocolate, and made for a nice relaxing evening once I got in. But I'll continue with some more footage from the next day, from the 11th. Actually, I don't think it was the 11th. I think it was the the 17th. So it was actually a week later before I got back out here with some footage. It was actually while my daughter and her family were here, but they had gone to do a drive around of Mount Rainier, and I don't do well as a passenger, so what we ended up deciding to do was they went with Emily and did a fun drive for a few hours, and then while they were gone I came out and took advantage of that and did some work because this really needed to be done. I've got to get this is the oak tree that we felled last year that the neighbors helped me fell, or well, technically I guess I helped them fell it. And I'm just trying to get this a little bit wider so we can get a truck up there, because I know the site inspector is going to want to drive to the spot, because that's kind of one of the ways that he judges whether the home is going to be able to be delivered is just by how the road and driveway are. So I'm trying to push this slash pile up to the side a little bit, and then I'll be bringing a lot of the dirt that I've dug out from the house site down and work on leveling and smoothing that. So I spent some time and forgot the camera obviously, but spent some time over here digging this out, and so now I'm gonna take all this loose stuff that I've dug out. And the nice thing about it is that when he came by, he said that this was a decent enough turn where I'm working right now, and the idea for getting the house to where it needs to be is actually will work really well. So the plan is to drive the home up the hill and then past the house site, and then back it up into the spot here where it needs to go, which is perfect actually, because that's kind of the only way they would have been able to do that anyway. Which the nice part is that means the front door will be facing the forest to the north, and the back door, which will have a really nice view facing to the south, will actually be really nice, and that'll be super nice in the winter too, because then when we're relaxing and hanging out in that living room, then we'll be able to enjoy the sunshine coming through that window. So that'll be ideal, I think. The progress that I made tonight was pretty much leveling this all the way across now. So I'm about probably halfway done with leveling up there, and then I just have to work on the ramp. Like, this ramp here is sufficient that you can get a tractor or a truck or whatever, but it's way too steep for the trailer, so I've got to make that a lot more shallow. And they just got back. Emily and my daughter's family just got back, so she's on granddaughter duty for the moment, while my daughter and her husband decided they wanted to relax because they were a little bit stressed from the drive here. That's the first time they've ever taken any kind of a travel like that. So, but this is my little grandbaby. Isn't she cute? Emily was just notifying me of their decision, and we were discussing what to do for the rest of the afternoon. So I'm gonna hurry and do a few more loads and then call it. And then we ended up just relaxing with them and playing some games, and we made a lot of campfires while they were here. Unfortunately, the grandbaby got a little bit of an illness. Turns out it was probably just a cold, but also some pink eye at the same time. So they ended up going home a little bit early, which was disappointing. But I mean, we still got to spend a week with them, and that was pretty awesome. One of the biggest challenges that we had with them was that when they left their home the day before they got here, they left and it was I think she said it was 104 degrees, if I remember correctly. And they got here and it was nice and perfect and overcast, and it was about 67 when they got here, and that was the high for the day. So it was a pretty drastic difference. And I've noticed, just from my personal experience, pretty much every time I've traveled to a different climate for more than like a day, I almost always end up getting something from that area, some kind of bug. So I'm not actually surprised, but that's okay. There'll be another time, and who knows, maybe by the next time they're able to come out and visit, then we'll actually have some spare bedrooms that we can let them crash in instead of just the spare room trailer. And then we can just have the spare room trailer as just a place to play games and hang out, and that's where my office will be, and whatever. We shall see. But yeah, I'm getting to the point where I need to buck up all of these alders that I've been pushing over. They're starting to get in the way. I don't yet know what I'll be doing with them. A lot of the tops where they're 3 and 4 inches in diameter, they'll definitely become furniture, most likely. We want to furnish our house with log furniture that we build, so that'll be a fun task when we get to that point. Some of the thickest stuff might actually just become just a drying shed type of thing. A lot of it will get milled into like 1-inch pieces, to be able to use that for like flooring and cabinetry, stuff like that. So they'll actually be milled to like, I don't know, 1 1/4, 1 and something along those lines. Technically 5/4 board, I guess, is what it's technically called. But that can be used for all kinds of different stuff. I'm always surprised every time I try and build something up. It's annoying how much the dirt compacts. So I'll put down like a pile 1.5 feet tall, and then even just the weight of the bucket as I smooth it over like I just did compacts that pretty good, and then I'll drive over it and it like compacts that down to like 1 inch, maybe 2. So it takes a lot to change the grade of something like I'm doing here. I'm trying to decide if it's going to be worth, now that I have a place to actually work and some space to do it, I'm trying to decide if it will actually be worth working with the dump trailer for a project like this instead of the tractor. The dump trailer's going to be a little bit awkward to maneuver as I, come up and down, but it would allow me to do like 5 or 6 bucketfuls from the tractor in one shot, and I have the ability to do the tailgating if I want to do that, so I can drive forward as I spread instead of just dumping it into a pile. We have an old 91 F-250 that I think the plan is that I'm gonna take that and take the bed off of it, and then build a flatbed trailer on it, and then I'll probably build some removable sides for it, as well as putting a dump mechanism on there, because a vehicle that can actually dump would be much easier to do this kind of a thing. In fact, it would save an immense amount of time. But I don't know. We've got to do some transmission work on it. And I kind of want a place to actually do that, outside of the rain, or inside technically. We're contemplating, one of the things that we're actually looking very, very heavily at is that we might build this house here for us, take the loan out to get the utilities included in the construction, and then also do the barn as part of that construction as well, just to get it all done. Because if we're going to have a mortgage, might as well just kind of be done with all of this. This aspect of things, and then we can just kind of tinker around and focus on building other areas as we go. But not sure. We're still undecided on what direction that's actually going to take. So who knows? We shall see. But This is about where the footage ends up for the day. I ended up moving some of these trees just to get them out of the way. But I'll show you for comparison. Like, we've actually had a surprisingly dry summer this year. Fall also. So this is a shot from after we got the fill 2 years ago that was dropped off, and this area is where my mill currently sits, and it's been compacted fairly well. I mean, I drove over it quite a bit to actually level this area and get it ready for the dump truck to come in, but there was just enough rain by this time last year that I couldn't get that. Even that one load was so much weight in the bucket that it ended up making it so I just completely sink, and I couldn't move until I dumped it and used the bucket to push myself out. And then I tried to do some dirt work over at our little campfire area, and again, this was fairly well driven over and compacted somewhat with the tractor weight, but it just got so wet so fast and so early that I just couldn't do anything. So but that's where we'll end it for today. So as always, thank you for your time, thank you for watching, and God bless you and yours. I hope you stay safe out there.